Hi, I'm really excited to bring this Christ Revealed interview to you. Let's go ahead and jump in. So this Jericho is a pivotal time, of transition and trying, to ascend a peace process in the region. And you happen to find yourself right there. So you mentioned this, but I want to dig in a little further, how your faith and your knowledge played a role in being able to make that transition in Jericho.
Well, it's interesting because to get to the level or to the point where I was appointed as the deputy of the governor, it has a lot to do with my faith. Apparently, the new governor was someone who was part of the Israeli intelligence, military intelligence for the longest time. He didn't trust anyone. When he showed up, I didn't know that, he tested without knowing every single officer in the unit. Now, bear in mind, I was one of the youngest officers in that unit. I just showed up. I was 6 months earlier. There's about 40 officers ahead of me for promotion. And one day he summons me into his chambers, to his office, and he says, please close the door behind you and sit down. And this is a folder that I want you to take a look at. If a word goes out of your mouth regarding the content of this, you're going to sit in jail for many years. And after you read it, I want you to give me your decision whether you want to be part of history or you want to go back to your office and just do nothing. And I said, well, can I pray about it? And Jewish people don't say that.
Yes.
And he knew my faith because I shared my faith with him. He was an Orthodox Jew that wouldn't practice it the way most Orthodox would do. He wouldn't walk with a yarmulke, but he had a tremendous knowledge of the Bible. And so we found great common language because I'm not wearing yarmulke. I don't look like an Orthodox Jew, yet I know the Bible pretty good because I read it every day. I quote, I chant it, I memorize it. So we had a common language here. So I believe my faith played a role because he trusted me. He told me later on that of all the officers in the unit, I'm the only one he would take with him to a war. And that's why he took me from being the last to be promoted to be his deputy when I was 21 years old.
Wow.
And so I do see my faith playing a significant role in my promotion and in the role I played in Israel's pulling out of Jericho at the time. Did I think then that it will work? That the peace process will be a wonderful beginning? No. Because A, I know the Bible. And B, I knew that when you take all the core issues and you push them aside and you just talk about the fluff, let's do this, let's have a flag here, let's have a soldier here, then everything is good. But then when comes the point where you deal with the core issue, Jerusalem and the borders and the status of Israel as a Jewish state and the refugees, it'll explode. And that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
And ever since, 20 years later, we can't find a way to solve this problem because all the time the core issues are the reason for that not to move, which I believe, by the way, again, I'm a great advocate of Bible prophecy and of the truth of the Bible. I believe that eventually we will see peace. It's going to be a false one.
Right.
And Jerusalem will be on the table, but it's going to be for a bad thing.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
So, we're talking about here in Christ Revealed the history, the evidence, the inspiration. And I'm wondering if you could describe when you became a Christian, when you went and saw the movie, when you sat in, because it was very poignant. You talk about holding hands and hearing a prayer and your name being mentioned in the prayer, and how this started to move you. How would you describe that inspiration that had you commit, and that commitment has held for all these years and has served you in many ways?
Well, the one thing that struck me the most is the personal relationship that people have with the creator of the universe. See, for me, God is holy. We are here. We want to talk to him. We have a book. We need to read certain things. We need to say certain things. If you want to go to the synagogue, you stand, you sit, you pray, you fast, you do, you go, you don't. All these things are just rituals.
Right.
And I remember the first book I read is Isaiah, and the first chapter I read is Isaiah 1. And in Isaiah 1, I was shocked to find out that God told the people of Israel, I hate religion. I hate the way you do things. Your appointed feasts, your Sabbaths, your new moons, your holidays. You know what he said? My soul hates. And then I wondered, wait a minute. This is the God of Israel telling the people of Israel that something is terribly wrong with the way they conduct themselves with him. And God says, wait a minute. You first need to wash your hands, clean your heart, take care of the widows and of the orphans, and do righteousness, and then come to me, and now let's reason together.
Yeah.
Now let's see. Now I realize that's the God I want to serve. The God of not religion, but relationship. Yeah. And that's the thing that struck me the most when I first came to that family. Over lunch, I saw a relationship between people and God. They close their eyes and they just talk to him with the full confidence that he's there, listening, and answering. And that's the God I think everyone wants to worship.
Over time, as you're having the experience, how has that relationship grown?
Look, well, right after that, I've seen the good hand of God, even in my military service, even in my officers' academy, when I would go to navigate in the middle of the desert, in the middle of the night. It was pitch dark, and you couldn't see anything, and then I lost something, and I prayed, God, where is it? And then somebody 2 hours later will come and give it back to me in the middle of the night, in the middle of nowhere. The little things. I'm not talking about the big things. I'm talking about the small little things that I ask God, please help me. You know, I'm always remembering, I'm reminded of the relationship that David had, King David had with God. He would talk to him just like, should I go there? Yes. Should I turn right? Yes. Would I go? Will they turn me in? Yes. So don't go and move. And it was like a day-to-day thing. It wasn't like, let's see each other in synagogue next week, or let's talk next holiday, or it was amazing. And that's why I think when David was confronted by Nathan the prophet regarding his sin, the one thing he asked is, do not take your Holy Spirit from me. Because that's the thing that distinguished him from the rest of the people. He had the Spirit of God in him. He had that personal relationship with him. And he knew, I cannot do anything without it. That's why we are told, I can do all things through Christ, but I can do nothing apart from him. Yeah. So I learned that in almost every step of my faith as I continued my journey. And I had my ups and I had my downs. And, you know, I often tell people, Jesus never deceived his followers. He never told them, this is an uneventful journey. He never said to them, let's go into the boat and there will be no storms. He said, let's cross to the other side. And I always tell people, you know, Christianity is not the absence of troubles, but it's the presence of Christ. Yeah. It's as long as he's with you in the boat, you'll make it to the other side, even though storms will come. And I learned to see that, you know, and you learn in the hard way sometimes. Yeah. But I have never seen God failing to show up at the right time, at the right place, and when I really needed it. And so this is a story of the faithfulness of a God to a person who did not even know about him nor acknowledge his existence. And it is Christ, Yeshua, Jesus, that brought me together with the creator of the universe. So now I can enter before the throne of grace and receive mercy in time of need.
Thanks so much for joining us for this interview, for taking this Christ Revealed journey with us. Remember, if you haven't already, subscribe. That way you'll get notified about all the new content that's coming down the road. Comment. People want to hear from you, and then maybe you'll encourage somebody else to make a comment. If you did like it so other people know that it's something good for them to watch. And finally, share this. Send links to other people that you know and care about. Cost you nothing but maybe a few seconds of your time, but it might have a massive impact on their life. Anyway, really excited to be able to share this information with you. Thanks for tuning in.